This is Michael Woodward, and this is episode 91 of the Jumblethink podcast.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jumblethink podcast, a podcast that's focused on telling the stories of dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers. Along the way, we give you some great tips and ideas of how you can chase your own big idea and dream and create the world you want to live in. Our guest on today's episode is Bud Torcom. More about Bud in a moment. Our guest on Friday's episode is Rachna Patel. She is a doctor that specializes in the world of medical marijuana. This is a super controversial topic, and whether you agree or disagree with the world of marijuana or medical marijuana, it is truly a fascinating conversation, and she shares some insights on the difference of pharmaceuticals versus medical marijuana and medicine as a whole. You don't want to miss this episode, so make sure to swing back and check out Friday's episode with Rachna Patel. Chasing your big idea or dream can be overwhelming and scary, and it can be even harder when you feel like you're doing it on your own. The Jumblethink team has worked with hundreds of business owners and individuals to help reach their big ideas and dream, and we want to help you. Swing on over to jumblethink.com/contact. That's jumblethink.com/contact. And let's start the conversation so that you can take the next steps, the first steps, to chasing that big idea, creating that dream, and changing the world around you. Now let's join today's episode with Bud Torcom. Hey there, welcome to the Jumblethink podcast. My name is Michael Woodward, and I am the host of the Jumblethink podcast. Super excited to have you along for today's episode with our amazing guest, Bud Torcom. Bud is the CEO and co-founder of Mazama Media. They specialize in social media strategy and digital marketing. Bud is also on the Facebook Small Business Council, and he and his team help businesses navigate the ever-evolving digital world of social media and digital marketing. In the episode, Bud shares some great insights and helps demystify such a space that can be confusing. So let's join the conversation with Bud Torcom. Hey, Bud, welcome to the Jumblethink podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's snowing, and mountain's going to open pretty early this year on Friday, so we're all pretty excited about that.
It's a beautiful thing. We're hitting the right kind of weather for getting out there and doing some fun slope time.
Yeah, that's actually one of our one of our core values is never forget to have fun. So we have a powder policy here where if it snows more than 4 inches, you could take the morning off, and then you just kind of work from 12 to 8 instead of from like 9 to 5.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about work environment. I know that you have a pretty substantial team and some unique dynamics there. You and your wife are co-founders of your company, and you've built a team of several team members. Let's talk about team dynamics a little bit.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about how you started your company and why a team is so significant for accomplishing the things that you do.
The company started 4 years ago, and we were out of our house, Sarah and I, it's my wife and co-founder, and we came up with the idea of doing this for businesses, and this being social media marketing for businesses. And so I was just basically going around and knocking on like restaurants' doors and stuff like that. And we started to get a book of business that was pretty substantial for us out of our home. And before we knew it, we needed an office, and then a larger office, and then a larger office again. And then Facebook actually got wind of what we were doing and had me be a panelist when they came to Bend. They did a Boost Your Business. They do them all over the country.
Oh, cool.
But so they were doing one in Bend, and they got the largest convention center. It was pretty much sold out, full of business owners.
Wow.
And they had me basically speak with 4 others about best practices and how we're doing what we're doing. And then from there, they started to interview me to be on the Facebook Small Medium Business Advisory Council, which there's about 50 businesses on, where we beta test new platforms. They let us know what's happening in advance, and it's a really good leg up for working within Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram. And they selected us about 3 years ago to be on it. or 2.5 years ago. And from there, we've had to get another bigger office and then another. And now we're at about 23 team members. The importance of them is that when we were first getting going, Sarah and I were doing the service, sales, finance, everything. As you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you wear every single hat when it's just you. And the need for bringing somebody on was a bit of a decision. And I mean, we probably put it off a little too long, but that's okay because we eventually did it. And the reason why we put it off a bit was like, well, we know how to do this better than anybody else. But then once we started to do it, we're like, no, this can be trained. And from there, it was my first lesson in delegation, because it's basically having a difference between a entrepreneur mindset and a merchant mindset.
Yeah.
Merchants are like, they think all the best, but they also think that they have to do everything. And there's a ceiling for that. And the ceiling is pretty low. So if you have to have your hands in absolutely everything, then you're not going to be able to escape that merchant mindset. You're not going to be able to continue to grow your business. And I'm always looking for other talented team members that can take something off of my plate. And I'm completely fine with delegating that and empowering them. Because it allows us to grow better. Do they make mistakes? Sure. But guess what? I make mistakes too. So it's not like even if I think that I do everything right, sometimes I don't.
Right. Yeah. And so there's usually a couple reasons why you grow a team. One is to multiply yourself so you can continue to grow. Another is to complement your weaknesses so that you can have a stronger team. But even in that, one of the most significant reasons, and we were talking about this before, is to lower the amount of stress and anxiety in the workplace by distributing, letting people focus on their strengths, focus on picking up the slack where you need some help and all of that. How has building a team really helped you as a business owner give you the freedom to really grow a business, build a business that is more than just you and your wife?
The thing about that is that as you continue to grow a business, the anxiety and the stress doesn't go down if you don't actively try to manage it. If you don't actively try to create like an anxiety-free workplace, which is something that is one of my big, hairy, audacious goals, is how do we create, not just for myself and my wife, but for my entire team, to be living in a culture that does not promote cortisol running through our veins and instead has oxytocin, is by having meditation areas, having music going, letting people kind of work when they need to. If we lose a client, not thinking that's the end of the world, but learning from it, kind of, instead of thinking you're about to go out of business, because you're not. Instead of being like, hey, it's just a car that's driving by and let's see what we can learn about from that car.
Yeah.
And that car is not coming to crash through your office and take your dinner from you. That's just not the case. So the first thing for me when creating the anxiety and starting to let that alleviate out was to know that, we're made of humans. We're going to make mistakes, and we occasionally are going to have we're going to lose clients, and we're going to continue to do that. As we get more and more clients, we will continue to have attrition. It's just the way it goes. I mean, businesses go out of business. There's all sorts of reasons for it. We do have a very, very high success rate, but there always is going to be that 5%. Hopefully we can make it 4 and 3, but I digress. So when that does happen, realize that is only 3 to 5%, and realize why that one is leaving and what we can learn about it, and use it as a positive. Like, hey, they left because X, Y, and Z, so let's fix X, Y, and Z by putting in this process. And then blame the process, not the person. Because 99 times out of 100, it's not the person for the reason why you were to lose somebody or why anything were to go wrong. The reason is the process. You had a process that wasn't set up correctly, because people don't go to work every day saying, I can't wait to screw everything up.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They want to be successful. They want to drive. They want to have a purpose. Everybody wants that. And it's not to screw things up. So realize, as you're continuing to grow. And when you have hiccups, because you will, it's not the person's fault. It's really your fault because the process wasn't in place correctly. So look back, look at the process and be like, how can we put in a checklist, so to speak, to make sure that that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, that's really good. Coming up with good systems and processes to really allow people to succeed instead of constantly having roadblocks or possible failures. You fix them and you evolve and grow from that.
Exactly.
You obviously got into this industry for a reason. Can you tell us a little bit about your backstory, your story up to starting Mazama, sorry, and why you were drawn to digital marketing and social media, and your journey to get there?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur. So like I was selling Beanie Babies when I was like in 5th grade, at like their peak. So I was getting like those little bears for like $5 and selling them for $80 to old ladies. And then when I was in college, I ended up starting a bike company, where we restored bikes and filled a niche, and basically disrupt a market that was either piece of crap Craigslist bikes or brand new bikes. There was no middle ground. So went in and disrupted that market. And then from there, we ended up finding, when I graduated, I ended up moving to Bend and found an opportunity to build a app with another gentleman, and we ended up getting that business funded. And it was through that business where this one flourished, because we basically realized that social media was by far the biggest ROI we had from advertising, even though we were advertising on all other mediums, radio, TV, newspaper, Google, I mean everything. And by far the biggest ROI was Facebook. So that's what put in our mind that we could potentially do this for other businesses. And we started doing that, and that's where it really grew. But my mind's always like churning and thinking on like how we can make it even better, and growing and continuing to create other services and like arms of our business within our business. So that's kind of like my spot is with the company, is I'm the visionary. I'm always thinking, I always have my head in the clouds. And then Sarah, my wife, always will be like, okay, wherever you found that idea, bud, just put that one back away. Let's take that one you came up with last week, start implementing that. But that idea you just came up with this morning, that one's crazy. And I'm like, okay.
That's really good to know that your strengths and your passions, and having that balance between you and your wife, in this case, who is also the business partner, to balance that out and kind of set a course where there's consistency and there's a strategy that you're moving forward in, and a second pair of eyes, a filter to bounce the ideas off of.
Yeah, exactly. It's been why, and she's the integrator and I'm the visionary, and that balance has been a big key to our success so far.
When did you guys start?
October of 2013.
Okay, so you've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, 4 years.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about social media, and specifically entrepreneurs and business owners, small business owners. Why is social media so significant for our marketing strategies, and what are some common pitfalls that small businesses and entrepreneurs need to know about as they create a strategy, create a plan for how they're going to use these mediums?
So depends how small of a business you are. If you're a one-man shop, then you're going to be needing to look into Facebook Blueprint, which is a free resource that allows you, if you Google it, it'll pop up first. It will walk you through how to do everything to good precision. It does take a good investment of time. I would say in order to pass a blueprint test, you need to put in like 100 hours.
Wow.
However, they may be more. But if you start to really get into it, then you start to learn the difference between what your competitor most likely thinks, which is probably what the majority of entrepreneurs think right now, is that advertising on Facebook, and I'll just stick on Facebook for this, or otherwise I could go talk about forever about Twitter and Pinterest and all these, but we'll just keep it on Facebook. But if you're on, like, the majority of business owners that I talk to, no matter what industry they're in, they think Facebook advertising is boosting posts and that's it. And to give you an idea of like what we do here, if you were to give us like $1,000 budget for Facebook ads, we would spend $0 on boosting posts.
Wow.
So yeah, it's all done behind the scenes with an ads manager and power editor, because with those technologies, you can use something called a Facebook pixel, which is very key to have on your site. So make sure your site's established, make sure that it's mobilely responsive, and then make sure that you have a Facebook retargeting pixel that's on it, and have it installed on every section of the site, and not just as page view. Make sure it identifies with what the site is doing. So let's say that you're selling, soap, and you have an e-commerce site for your soap that you're selling, and on the page you have the cart, you have your inventory, you have checkout, you have checkout confirmation page, just to name a few. Well, if a lot of businesses, I see this time and time again, and I can tell from just looking at their site without them even giving me access, because I use a Facebook pixel identifier. So I can tell with looking at a site whether or not a pixel is set up there just from the site itself. Like, I don't need any back-end access. And too many times I either see no Facebook pixel at all, that's the majority of the time. But when there is one, it's typically set up for just page view on every single page. And so that's better than having nothing, because with that, what you're able to do is retarget somebody. Somebody went to your website, and now you can retarget them on Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook's audience network.
Okay.
So that's better than nothing. That's really valuable, right? They were already there. Let's bring them back. However, what's more valuable is if somebody decides to fill their cart up with $90 worth of your soap, and they go to the checkout page, that's a pixel that fires off. That's separate from page view. And if they go from that page and they do not end up purchasing, then they go into an audience that you can save it as you can save it as didn't complete checkout. And with that, you can then retarget them saying, hey, you forgot to finish your order, click here to proceed. If that doesn't end up working, you can even start throwing like discount codes at them, like, hey, use this for 20% off. And it's only going to those people that got as far as loading up their shopping cart, but just didn't pull the trigger.
Wow.
So that's way more valuable than just simple retargeting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, with the pixel, when it's set up correctly, if somebody ended up looking at, let's say that you sell soap, deodorant, and body wash. Well, if somebody was at the deodorant section the whole time and didn't buy, and they were just cruising up and down, you can see that. Don't retarget them with bars of soap. Get the actual deodorant they're looking at on their feed. And so that's all the things that you can do when you set this pixel up correctly, is you can hone in on exactly what they're looking for. And this transcends just like e-commerce. I mean, if you're selling cars, it's the same thing. If you're a dental practice and somebody's looking at implants, then hit them with implants. They weren't like if they're looking at Invisalign, that's very different from implants. Hit them with the Invisalign if they're looking at Invisalign. So it transcends. It's not just, as I said, e-commerce. It's literally anything.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're doing is really maximizing and leveraging your content, but also your marketing to be very tailored to the individual instead of wide net. You're getting into very narrow nets.
Yeah, and then you actually get, like, when you're sending people to the site, like basically Facebook in the beginning, when you're not retargeting them, like, you're going to have an audience to retarget, and that's going to be your low-hanging fruit. The people have already been to your site. But what about getting more people to the site?
Right.
So if you're getting more people to the site, don't just be like, okay, we'll use the soap company as an example again. So you're going to have men and women's deodorant. So if you're a soap company that is all natural, organic, expensive, all that sort of stuff, paraben-free, all that sort of stuff, then you're going to be wanting to hit people who like all natural, organic stuff. And maybe also include in their audience that they're making more than $50,000, maybe $60,000 a year. That is going to change based on where you're trying to sell to, because somebody making $60,000 a year in LA is riding the poverty line while somebody that's making that much money in Atlanta is doing pretty good. So that, there's big differences, and you have to change that based on where you're marketing. But that is basically like what you want to be doing is you want to be getting messages in front of just those people instead of everybody, because everybody uses soap, but you're not going to be having people that are just Old Spice fanatics and they really don't care if it's natural, organic and everything. They're going to be buying your soap. It doesn't matter how many times you get in front of them. They just don't care. They'd rather go to cheaper stuff that's at Walmart. That's just what they're going to do. But then also to take that even further, okay, how are you going to make this message go to moms? That's going to be your number one clientele anyway. It's because moms are going to go there and they're going to buy it for their families. So if you get organic eating moms, then talk to them in an organic eating mom kind of way. Talk to them like, hey, do this raise your kids as healthy as possible. Make sure that you and your family has no parabens, blah, 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 for your kids, blah, blah, blah. Hit that number, hit that family word over and over again and talk to them. Make it relevant to them. You're going to get more clicks and more transactions. Now, have that opposed to how you would talk to perhaps a bachelor who's 27, who can afford your soaps and is also organic and vegan and stuff like that, but he's a single guy. Well, that mom statement isn't going to make any sense to him.
Right.
But he's still there, so talk to him the way you should. And when you do this, and with an ads manager and power editor, that's why we don't do boosting posts, is because you're getting that message just to them in their news feeds, as opposed to a shotgun message to the world, which we're so used to, like, hey, let's put this billboard up and see what happens. Hey, let's put this TV ad, see what happens. Instead, it's like the Minority Report, where you're able to get the exact message in front of the exact person that wants to see how it's going to suit their life.
What you're talking about is incredibly interesting. And I know a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs that are going to be listening to this going, wow, that's powerful. That's awesome. I have no clue what that means, what you just said, other than I get what you're saying it's going to accomplish, but I don't know how to do that. And now we've got Facebook, and we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got LinkedIn maybe, we've got Snapchat, we've got all of these different platforms. How can small business owners and entrepreneurs really keep up with the evolution, keep up with the trends, and stay on top of this?
That's a good question, but if you put an effort towards it, and you spend like half hour a day yourself trying to do it, or if you delegate it to somebody, then you will learn. It does take time. You're not going to be able to do it perfectly off the bat. However, I mean, if you don't try, then it's not going to work anyway, right?
Right.
So the Facebook Blueprint tip I gave is a good one on how to set out and do this on your own. And to simplify it for you, whatever you're selling, or service you're promoting or nonprofit you're doing, whatever you're trying to do, build the campaign in Facebook's ads manager and just start by creating a traffic ad set and get people that are your easiest clients going to your site and do it on a cost per click campaign. And then get used to, in the beginning, if you get in this habit early, then you're going to be really, really well off. Get used to A/B testing. So if we're going to use that mom example for the soap, you need to be hitting her with the same text and 2 ads, and not her specifically, but let's just say we're hitting all moms in the greater LA area who are organic and they have kids under the age of 18 and they fit this profile. And let's say that would probably pull up, I'm guessing, probably 100, maybe 200,000 people. Okay, cool. Those 200,000 people, let's get these 2 images in front of them and the same text. So we're going to see which of the 2 images does better and gets you more sites, more web traffic for less money. And then when you test that for a week and you see 2 weeks and you see that photo A did better than B, then you eliminate B, and now A wins. And now you try to take 2 pictures of A and then the text you had before and now a different text to get them there. And you see which one of the text ends up getting you better results. And then you basically have it so this process never stops.
Okay.
Like just a standard thing that you do every 2 weeks. if not every week, is you're going in and you are adjusting these A/B tests. And then once they go to your site, you're then using that pixel that you installed by getting the pixel to your web developer. If you do your own code, then it's really easy. You copy and paste it and you put it on pretty much a header of every page. And you start retargeting based on what they did on your site. You could set up audiences for almost anything you can imagine, from the shopping cart like we talked about to, let's say they already purchased something. And then another free tip in this case, if you are having people that purchase something, is that there's an email that very rarely I see e-commerce businesses actually take advantage of. And it's or service or anything like that, but it's the thank you for the lead, or it's the thank you for buying email. And this is what's going to come. That email is opened like 95% of the time. I think it's more than that, actually. And it's for a reason. You already bought your soap. You want to know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to know when it's coming, it's coming. That's an email you always open. And more often than not, actually the majority of the time, that's all the email says.
Wow.
That's a perfect opportunity for an upsell.
Yeah.
He's put under, you got them open, and hey, while you're here and we notice that you love the deodorant, you're going to love this body wash. Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah.
Get them to go back. Buy that too. Why not? You have them actually open this thing. All the other stuff you're going to send them, you're going to have less than like a 20% open rate on average. So use that 95% to your advantage.
That's really good. Right now, in the world of social media, for a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they may be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of different social channels there are. What are the social channels that you think people really should be paying attention to right now?
Facebook and Instagram is going to be your top ROI channels for B2C. B2B is LinkedIn by far. So those are the ones that you should be focusing on based on what you're doing.
Some people might be listening to this and just going, I'm still overwhelmed. Okay, cool. I'm going to go check out Facebook Blueprint, but I just don't know if I have the time for this. How does working with an agency like yours really help them have their foot in a forward trajectory, moving forward with what they're doing, and really set them up for success?
Because they don't have to deal with it. That's what we're trained by Facebook to do. It's like bringing on an expert, but not having to pay for full or even part-time or workers' comp or benefits or anything like that. It's the peace of mind that it's working its best, and you have a team of fun experts that are working on it. Here's the thing. For everybody that's listening right now, I encourage you to go off and try to literally learn how to do this your own or delegate it. I'm just trying to help. That's why I gave a bunch of different tips on the pixels and blueprint and everything like that. If you still like you're overwhelmed, then feel free to reach out and we'll help you, and we'll put together a demographic analysis. But I'd even be happy to help you walk through a couple of things as you're going through your journey. You can end up emailing me, and I'd be happy to answer some questions where you get caught up on something. I try to just personally give back as much as I can. This town and people in my town, and actually in this country, have given so much to me and my team for our success that I'm just trying to find a way to pay it forward whenever I can.
That's really cool. You are an adventurer. You like skiing and mountain biking and kayaking and backpacking and the outdoors.
Yeah.
And you even mentioned your policy about snow days, which I think is brilliant.
Thanks.
How can you bring a sense of adventure into business to make it fun? How can you make work fun? So many of us get into the dredge of every day and just trying to make it through that we're not having fun. We're not making it enjoyable. We're not exploring and discovering. What have you found that works for you and your team in this space?
Work-life balance would be number one.
Okay.
So we have a number of people here on salary, and they're not expected to work more than 40 hours a week. I know that there's a majority of businesses in the U.S. is that you're on salary, but you get sometimes expected to work 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you end up, if you calculating that all out, you find that, yeah, you got a pay raise, but now you're expecting to work that much and you're actually making less per hour than you were before.
Right.
And so respecting that is huge. And when we started our business, I used to sell consulting actually for a $250 million consulting firm in Chicago when I was 17 till I was 20. And I talked to over, at least over 5,000 different business owners. And I made at least 20 business owners cry.
Okay.
And it was just from asking them like how much they work and if they have any kids and when was the last time. If like, yeah, I've got 2 kids. I got Tim and Sarah. Tim's 3 and Sarah's 6. I'm like, okay, great. Do they play any sports? Like, yeah, Tim's playing t-ball actually now. It's kind of cute. And Sarah's playing soccer. Like, that's awesome. When was the last time you were at like a t-ball or soccer game? And that's when it starts to get really real for them.
Yeah.
That they just haven't been to one in so long. And that's where sometimes I've had some breakdown and start crying. So I decided that actually what I first decided was I wasn't going to ever own a business because I never want to be like that. Because I can't tell you how many times I talked to a miserable business owner. I think it was actually rare when I talked to one that was happy.
Wow.
So I was just like, okay, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
And when it started to grow and or when this idea started to come and where we were going to be kind of really going full into it, I said to Sarah, I was like, all right, here's the deal. We can do this, but we're not working more than 45 hours a week tops.
Yeah.
We're going to take vacation.
Yeah.
And if that means that we're going to be half as big as what we would have been if we worked 70-hour weeks in 5 years, then we're going to be half as big.
Wow.
And that's just all there is to it. And so I think in a way that's contributed to our success that we've had so early because we've grown to the size we are now without any investors or any bank loans or anything like that. It's all been bootstrapped.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we're not overworked and going to snap at any second. So that work-life balance is really important as the first thing to making work fun is knowing that you're working to live. You're not living to work. So that's a big part on making it fun. Another thing is like have fun things to do and also realize that humans should be taking breaks. Like if you have somebody and you just are expecting them to be working the whole time and they're looking at a computer screen, which so many jobs make us do,
Right.
then they're just going to be staring at the computer screen. They're going to start getting a headache and they're going to start like actually becoming unproductive. So having like we have a meditation chamber here with a massage chair and like it's giant down comforter beanbag thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's pretty awesome. It kind of like eats you.
That's fun.
And standing desks and a hoverboard and razor scooters and ping pong and cornhole and free food and all that sort of stuff. And it makes people just like not stressed out. And then the other thing is like when there's a powder policy and it's like when people are able to ski, like when I decided to, I was like, you know, this needs to happen for the entire company, not just me. I'm going to feel horrible if I'm out skiing and I'm going to come back at noon and everybody else is going to be like, how's the mountain? And I'll be like, oh, it was great. It was just amazing. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
So we're not a restaurant, right? We're not a retail shop. We can do this. We can work different hours. And since we have 23 people here, the fact is, even though we're only 20 minutes from Mount Bachelor, only 5 people really utilize that. Like a lot of just not everybody skiers in Benton. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So there is people here manning the phones and everything like that. And I'm one of the skiers, and so is about 3 or 4 other of us. And so we'll go for these powder days, and then we'll be back around noon or 1-ish, and we'll work together till 7 or 8:30 at night. And we'll have these giant smiles on our face because instead of being home from 5 till 8 watching Netflix, instead we are on the mountain from 9 to noon shredding powder and like super stoked and reminiscing about like how awesome that day just was.
Yeah.
So that makes work fun as well. We also start every morning with something called positive focus. So we do a standing meeting every day where everybody gets in a circle, and we start off by saying everybody goes around and says one thing that they're positive about. And gosh, I would say probably 19 times out of 20 that causes just immense laughter and stories and people just starting the day, even on a Monday, starting the day with a smile on their face.
That's so good. It sounds like you've really taken the approach to create a culture that people feel valued, they feel part of the community, and they feel like they have significance in that journey.
It's what I try to do. It's not always that easy, but it's what we try to do.
There are going to be some people listening that love what you're doing, love what you're talking about. Can you share how they can connect and find you?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm the only Bud Torcom on LinkedIn. I'm the only Bud Torcom on social media. It's a very unique last name. So
Yeah.
it's BUDTORCOM as in Mary. And my email is bud@Mazama Media, MAZAMA media.com. Our website's mazamamedia.com. Yeah, you feel free to email me, or even can give me a call at the office at 541-728-0558 if you're going through this journey and trying to implement it yourself. Or if you even just want to talk about, like, if you have other ideas on how to create an anxiety-free workplace and stuff that you do, then I'm definitely would love to talk with you, because I don't have all the answers at all, and I'm learning every day.
Let's dive into some rapid fire questions. How's that sound?
Sounds like fast and fun stuff.
Cool. All right. So here's the first question. What is one tip you would give someone with a big idea or dream and they don't know where to start?
Do it. Just do it. I mean, I run into that all the time, and I just say, what's stopping you? Oh, the kids and the family. I'm like, okay. Why is that stopping you? Well, I need the income. Oh, okay. That you could start this thing on the side, get your side hustle on.
Yeah.
And then once it gets big enough that you want to leave, then leave.
What's one change you would like to see in the world?
I would love to see anxiety and stress to be ridden from corporate America and the rest of the world.
Who or what inspires you?
The idea of creating an anxiety-free workplace example here at Mazama inspires me every day. And I get those ideas. I mean, Simon Sinek put me down that path, so I read all of his books, and I'm a big fan of his.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. It'd be really cool if I could turn into that guy who created a case study for an anxiety-free workplace. That would be sweet.
And what are you currently reading or watching?
I am reading a few things. Actually, Simon Sinek, his new book, I just got that. I'm halfway through it, called Find Your Why. We have our why, but I wanted to read it anyway because I like the guy a lot. I constantly reread Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I read typically a chapter of that a week. I'm also reading Jurassic Park again right now. And on the docket, I have, I have a few books that are in that I need to read. Help the Helper. I forget who wrote that, but I'm about to start reading that one. And I'll have to look up some of the other ones and maybe put it in the bio after this. But rereading, going through Traction and Get a Grip. Oh, and then Entrepreneurship from, I'm also in the middle of that. I kind of read a lot, if you can't tell. So Entrepreneurship by the guy that wrote all those famous books like Make It Big or Get Rich. Jim Collins.
Okay,
all the books that he read. Yeah. So anyway, Entrepreneurship is actually one of the first ones that he wrote. And I've read the other ones, but Entrepreneurship is like, it really got forgotten. And it's an amazing book. And chapter 2 in it is one, like, at any point you are in entrepreneurship in your life, read chapter 2 from Entrepreneurship from Jim Collins, because it is amazing. And if you have that down, your vision and where you're going to take the company and the core values at an early part of the business, then you already have you're already 2 steps ahead of the game for sure.
That's cool. That's good. What is one dream you're still willing to fulfill in your own life?
One dream I'm looking to fulfill in my own life. Well, I don't know how many times I can say the anxiety-free workplace. That one is up there pretty high. The other, another big, hairy, audacious goal I have is getting society more accepting of the automation revolution that we're currently in right now.
Okay.
To take that very seriously. I'm not a doomsdayer with that stuff. I'm just one that knows that we need to have as much education for the new jobs that are becoming and how to support the people that are losing, that are going to end up losing a lot of jobs. To self-driving is going to be the biggest thing to sweep the country of a lot of job loss. So how are we going to think forward, and how are we going to move forward as a society in this new realm, because this is going to make the Industrial Revolution look like a tea party. It's going to be nothing compared to that.
Bud, it's been a lot of fun chatting with you today. Thanks for taking time out to share a little bit of your story and great insights into the world of social media and digital marketing.
Yeah, it's been fun. I appreciate it, Mike.
Once again, I want to thank today's guest, Bud Torcom, for taking time out and sharing some great insights into the world of digital marketing and social media strategy. On Friday, our guest is Rachna Patel. She is a doctor specializing in the world of medical marijuana. She shares a lot of insights into the difference between traditional pharmaceutical drugs and the medical marijuana industry. Whether you agree or disagree with the world of marijuana, it is a fascinating episode. So make sure to check out our episode with Rachna Patel this Friday. Each of us have big ideas and dreams. They can range from the ideal job or creating something new or fulfilling that bucket list item. Chasing those dreams and ideas can be overwhelming and filled with obstacles. You don't have to go on the journey by yourself. We are here to help you, to be that coach, that mentor, to give you great strategies and ideas of how you can make your ideas and your dreams a reality. We want to hear from you. Swing on over to jumblethink.com/contact. That's jumblethink.com/contact. Drop us a note and let's start the conversation. Let's start that journey together. And together we can help you get to that dream, that idea, and start changing the world around you. Well, it's been another great episode. I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. Now get out there, do something awesome. One step, one little thing to make that dream, that idea, that big change in your life a reality. And make sure to tune in this Friday for another great episode of the Jumble Think podcast.
Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps. Vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.